I wanted, you guys have a resume, and I gave a copy on your seat there. And I want to talk a little bit about the resume format. Again, we're going to kind of jump around here on it. I picked this format, again, I do mostly accounting and finance, but this format is a really standard, and there's reasons that I chose this format and why I like it. There's a couple of things about resumes. One is easy on the eye. If you take a look and you read a book, you'll see that it usually goes, you naturally read from left to right. So when we're talking about a resume and we want to make it easy on the eye, we want to make sure that you're using the full piece of paper. There's not a lot of white space. Some people have, their margins way off and there's a ton of white space. You want to make sure that it has that look kind of easy on the eye where it goes from left to right. The first thing that you're going to have under your professional experience is the company. I know it's all about you and you think it's all about you, but it's not. It's a resume and it's work history, and so it's who paid you. The company paid you to work for them. And this is your resume about your work history. So the first thing you're going to talk about, I call the house, is the house. Here's the company. The name of the company is SSV, and where are they? Where's the house? And then on the right, because you're going easy on the eye, here's the company, here's what they paid me, and here's how long I worked there. That's the first thing that you tell your reader. And the next thing you tell your reader is, here's a little bit about the company. Because if it just says SSV company, we don't know what SSV company does. We don't know if it's a $2 million company or a $1 billion company. We don't know if it just does San Diego or is it international. So you take a moment on your resume and you write 2 sentences about what size company and what do they do. So when people read about your experience inside the company, they'll know what kind of a company was it and what industry. And that helps the reader find out what size company, what industry, how many employees, gives them a sense of where did you work. So first the company, the dates, and then a little bit about the company. Then your title. And when we talk about bullet points that are on there, the most important thing to remember about your bullet points on your resume is you want them not to be tasks. You can have a task like responsible for answering the telephones. Right? Sounds like a pretty good bullet point. But if you take it one step further and you say responsible for answering the telephones, ensuring wonderful customer service. Because you answer the phone, what impact did that have on your employer who's paying you to do that job? You want to think about, if I did this task for them, and I think it's important enough for me to have as a bullet point on my resume, what then benefit did my company get that paid me to do that job? What was the benefit? So if you think about completing projects or anything that you did that had an impact on the company, that's how you want to round your bullet points out. Not all bullet points are going to work that way, but think about when you write down and you look at your bullet points, is there a way to make sure that the reader understands that because you did that, it had an impact on some reason and it made sense for you to do it. It wasn't just that you answered phones, but you answered phones and you ensured great customer service because of answering phones. Okay? So think about just that, and then some people will ask a lot of questions about, do I put education first? If you're just coming out of college, yeah, of course. Or if you have a brand new MBA, you may want to put your education up there on top. Most of the times in resumes, the more career experience you have, your education is going to go on the bottom, because as your career develops, it's your resume, again, it's your work history. So your work history goes first and your education goes at the bottom with your language and skill sets. So traditionally, if you're coming straight out of college, you don't really have a lot of work experience, so yeah, your education is up front and up center. But as your career progresses, then it naturally moves down to the bottom of your resume. A lot of you are taking classes and opening up new businesses, going back for MBAs, and that is a wonderful opportunity to use an objective statement on your resume. On this resume, it shows a financial executive because she's not looking to change anything. She's kind of looking for the same type of an opportunity. However, let's say you have decided that you want to open up a not-for-profit. And you're going to apply and you've been a teacher for 50 years and suddenly you're going to go ahead and do something completely different. That is when an objective statement is absolutely necessary. Let's say you taught school and you were a 4th grade teacher for 10 years and you decided, I don't want to teach any longer. I want to go and work in corporate America. If you applied for a job in corporate America and your resume just had 4th grade teacher, for the last 10 years, your reader would not kind of understand why are you applying for this position. However, if you had an objective statement at the very top that said, I'm seeking an opportunity to transition away from teaching into corporate America. Something that tells the reader on the very first line, I'm seeking an opportunity to use my new MBA in a new industry. Anything that you want. I'm seeking to move away from my own legal practice into corporate America and work for an established company and the general counsel. Whatever you're thinking, the objective statement is valuable when you need to communicate something to your reader that otherwise they wouldn't understand when they got your resume. So think about objective statements only when you have to communicate a specific message to your reader, then they're exceptionally beneficial. Other than that, they're going to assume that you have experience and you're applying for the job and it's a good fit. So if you have to explain something, that's kind of the best way to do it. Powerful bullet points, think about this, the words collaborated, led, managed, reviewed, organized. Think about your kickoff words at the beginning of your bullet points. What are powerful words that you can use? And developed, anything like that are good action words for that. If you start getting a lot of experience and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't get it past 2 pages, how many pages is too many on a resume? If you can fit it on 1 page and it makes sense, 1's fine. If you have a lot of experience and you need 2 is absolutely fine. 3, 4, and 5 is too much. Okay? 2 is actually, when you get down to 2 and you'll see, and this is a good example, at this point, this candidate's going to have too much experience at their next job to fit on 2 pages. So what they'll do is they'll go back to their farthest job and they just take the bullet points out. Everything else, if you need to consolidate a resume and figure out how to space it better, then what you do is you go back to your first job if you start going past 2 pages and you take out your bullet points. Again, it's your work history, it's your document. So you're still going to keep your company and your dates, and your title, and what the company did and how long you were there, but you're going to take out your bullet points because it was 10 years ago or 15, but you're still going to have a record of where your work history went. So if you need to make more room, that is how you make more room on a resume. Any questions so far about resumes? Yeah?
So, when I first got out of college, I had some experience in aerospace. I don't do any work in aerospace anymore. I'm in high tech and marketing, completely unrelated, but I have 4 years of work experience. So I have not been showing that work experience on my resume typically. Is that okay, or is that kind of a no-no, or what's your recommendation for that kind of experience?
How long? How many years?
4 years from like 1989 through 93.
Yeah. Sometimes what'll happen is it's up to you. Usually they say relevant experience on a rate 15 years. Okay, now, here's the thing, is you don't want to be, or people perceive that you're trying to hide something. And so one of the things, if you're going to knock off work experience, then I recommend that you put what date you graduated college. So that in an interview, if somebody's wondering, well, kind of how old, when you show up, they're going to figure out how old you are. So, it's not going to be a big, some people knock out 20 years of experience and then they get there and they're like, gosh, this is wild. So if that's the case, I tend to err on the side, it's up to you what you have on your resume, but the dates will allow the reader to understand that you graduated and then the first job on your resume was maybe 4, 8, or 10 years later, and then they have an opportunity to ask you about that. You haven't misled them.
Right.
You've been clear about it.